The nature of free will is a question that has captivated philosophers and theologians for centuries. Do we truly have control over our destinies, or are our lives predetermined by forces beyond our comprehension? The answer, as we shall see, is far from simple. At the heart of this debate lies a fundamental dilemma, the tension between our subjective experience of choice and the objective reality of a deterministic universe. We feel in our everyday lives as though we are the authors of our actions. We deliberate, we choose, and we experience the consequences. This sense of agency is so ingrained in our consciousness that it seems almost axiomatic. Yet, when we examine the question more closely, cracks begin to appear in the edifice of our certainty. What does it truly mean to make a free choice? Does it require that our actions be utterly independent of any external influence, a product solely of our unfettered volition? If so, then free will, in its purest form, may be nothing more than an illusion. Our choices, no matter how deliberate, are shaped by a confluence of factors over which we have no conscious control. The philosophical exploration of free will can be traced back to the ancient Greeks. Aristotle, one of the most influential thinkers in Western civilization, grappled with the relationship between choice and responsibility. He recognized that our actions are often constrained by external factors, such as coercion or ignorance. However, he also maintained that we are ultimately responsible for our character, which we develop through our choices. The Stoics, another prominent school of thought in ancient Greece, held a more deterministic view of the universe. They believed that a divine logos, or reason, governed all things, and that human beings were part of this grand, interconnected order. While the Stoics valued virtue and living in accordance with nature, they recognized that our capacity to choose was ultimately limited by fate. This tension between free will and determinism has reverberated through the annals of intellectual history. It is a debate that continues to shape our understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. Determinism, in its essence, posits that every event, including our thoughts and actions, is causally determined by a chain of prior events. If we could rewind the universe to a specific point in time, like a film on a reel, everything would unfold in exactly the same way. This perspective seems to leave little room for free will, at least as it is traditionally conceived. Among the most prominent proponents of determinism was the 17th century Dutch philosopher Baruch Spinoza. Spinoza argued that the universe is governed by immutable natural laws, and that human behavior is simply a part of this deterministic system. He maintained that our feeling of free will is an illusion, stemming from our ignorance of the underlying causes of our actions. David Hume, the Scottish Enlightenment philosopher, offered a more nuanced perspective on the issue. While he acknowledged the force of deterministic arguments, he also emphasized the importance of our subjective experience of freedom. Hume argued that even if our actions are causally determined, they are still the product of our desires, beliefs, and personality. Section 4. The God Equation, Religion and the Enigma of Choice. Religion, with its emphasis on divine omnipotence and human fallibility, adds another layer of complexity to the free will debate. If God is all-knowing and all-powerful, does that mean our lives are predestined? And if so, what becomes of our moral responsibility? Christian theology has long wrestled with the question of free will, particularly in the context of God's omniscience and the concept of salvation. Some theological perspectives, such as Calvinism, emphasize predestination, the doctrine that God has already chosen who will be saved and who will be damned. This view suggests that our ultimate fate is predetermined and beyond our control. Other Christian traditions, such as Arminianism, emphasize free will and the role of human choice in accepting or rejecting God's grace. Arminians argue that God desires all to be saved and that He has given humans the free will to choose to follow Him. Section 5. The brain's testimony, neuroscience enters the fray. In the 20th century, neuroscience began to offer new insights into the workings of the brain, challenging traditional notions of free will. Studies using brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI, have shown that our conscious decisions are often preceded by unconscious brain activity. This suggests that what we perceive as a conscious choice may be the result of processes that are already underway in our brains, outside our conscious awareness. One of the most famous experiments in this realm is the Libet experiment, conducted in the 1980s by Benjamin Libet. Participants were asked to perform a simple action, such as flexing their wrist while their brain activity was monitored. The results were startling. Libet found that brain activity related to the action occurred a fraction of a second before the participants reported their conscious decision to act. These findings, while subject to debate and interpretation, raise profound questions about the nature of free will and the limits of our conscious control. If our brains are already making decisions before we are consciously aware of them, what role does our conscious mind really play? As we navigate the intricate maze of free will, determinism, and the role of our conscious mind, a new chapter emerges in the 21st century, a philosophical renaissance. Modern philosophers, armed with insights from neuroscience and psychology, are re-evaluating ancient debates in light of new evidence. Prominent thinkers like Dennett and Sam Harris have reignited discussions, blending scientific rigor with philosophical inquiry. Dennett, in his work Freedom Evolves, argues that free will is compatible with determinism, a view known as compatibilism. He suggests that while our actions may be influenced by prior events, the complexity of human consciousness allows for a form of free will that is meaningful and significant. On the other hand, Sam Harris, in his book Free Will, takes a more deterministic stance. He posits that free will is an illusion, contending that our thoughts and actions are the result of predetermined neurological processes. For Harris, understanding this can lead to greater compassion and acceptance, as we recognize the limitations of individual control. These contemporary debates invite us to reconsider our own beliefs about agency and responsibility. Are we the authors of our own destinies, or are we merely actors following a script written by the intricate workings of our brains? The conversation continues as each new discovery adds another layer to this age-old enigma. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. Do you believe you are truly in control of your actions? Let us know in the comments below.